Hello, Oracles. How is it going today? Here is our Friday night live open forum live stream. Tonight we've got Vinny on and whoever else wants to jump on. I threw links out to all the members and patrons of the channel, and we'll go from here. So we were just chatting a little bit about the live stream earlier this week. See if anybody else hops on. So how's your week been, Vin? We haven't talked in a while.
Yeah, it has been a while. It's been pretty good. How about yourself?
Not too bad at all. Pretty much just busy getting things done. Watching the stock go up, enjoying this whole Twitter thing. Today I'm very excited about today, and I'm actually curious if anybody is. Oh, there we go. Hey, Brooke, what's going on?
The big day.
Yes,
Finally
yeah,
happened.
big day, and it's so funny how you can see so many people out there and their feelings on it. Like I've got a friend on Facebook who was on Twitter, and I was like, "Hey, I just joined Twitter." So it'll be nice to see how this all plays out.
Yeah. I've been thinking about, obviously there's huge potential for that. But to all the Meta shareholders out there, I feel like it's just one more nail in the coffin for, Facebook. I mean, now they got to compete with an Elon Musk run Twitter too. But yeah, I think he'll do some exciting things.
Oh yeah, and actually, I don't know if let me see. I go over here. I don't know if you saw too. I just saw right before we got on that GM has temporarily suspended all advertisements over on Twitter. Like, well, you got to be kidding me. I'm like, that there in itself is going to give Tesla so much advertisement. Can't believe it
Yeah,
happened.
that's
Speaking
funny.
of which, what are your predictions for Twitter's revenue growth over the next 5 to 10 years? So, ironically, somebody over on Twitter had responded to something I had put out there, talking about how much interest they're going to have to pay on these billions of dollars borrowed. And I go, it's probably going to be very similar to what they had to pay for Tesla when they borrowed all that money back during 2007 to 2009. I was like, and that worked out pretty well for them. So yes, Brooke, I think over the next 5 to 10 years, Twitter's revenue is going to grow significantly.
Yeah, financially they'll definitely
wow.
they'll do great because they'll be running a leaner operation. They already are, I'm sure, after all the fires today, all the firing. But you account for that, and then any growth is the company really hasn't done much over the last decade as far as growth and keeping up with its competitors.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah, I think that you're going to see both of those things. It's going to be a lean, agile company, and it's also going to growth should explode over time.
Oh yeah. And actually, let me take a look, because I think I have. Do I have Twitter in my charts over here? Thought I did. Maybe not. I guess not. Yeah, from what I've seen, I think Twitter's share growth has been nothing, like nothing
Yep.
at all.
I'm pretty sure it's flat since IPO. I'm going to look it up really quick.
Yeah, I mean, since they IPO'd, I don't think they have gone anywhere. And I think the only reason they've gone up is because Elon said he was going to buy them for 50
Yeah,
bucks
so
money.
I was just going to say it's up $12 all time. And yes, that's entirely just because of the whole Elon purchase. Otherwise, Twitter would have been a $20 stock right now.
Oh, exactly. Because if this thing fell through, it would go below IPO. What's going on, Tesla bot?
Tesla bot. When can I buy one for my house?
Yes. And Lou,
Tired of
yeah,
doing the
just came
chores.
through yesterday. Yeah, a lot of people. I agree with you, Lou. I was actually never interested in Twitter myself until I realized how big the Tesla community is on there. So I went over there for that. And now there's even more reason to be on there. Like, I'm really looking forward to the potential of what's going to happen with Twitter.
Yeah, I think, Twitter was already kind of my favorite platform as far as all the social media ones go. Not really on the rest a whole lot. But Twitter, there's just something about that. I feel like if you set it up correctly, there's just so many fascinating people to follow and things to learn versus like the other social medias that are kind of just about showing how, bougie your life is and how much you love it, but then you hate it in real life. But anyway, Twitter, like there's so much to be learned. There's so much knowledge. And I think it's very exciting now, especially to be, having utilized that platform and now knowing that Elon Musk is running it, that Twitter is going to do very well. So it's exciting to be a creator, a person on Twitter, a person learning on Twitter. There's a lot to be gained there.
Oh yeah, and thinking about how he wants to take it to be like a WeChat, I'm looking forward to it, and I'm glad I'm building it up, because I have no doubt it's going to become a YouTube competitor. So I'm going to want to be on that platform as well, and so I'm sure it's going to integrate with it, because there's plenty of like streaming softwares like this that you can stream live with multiple platforms. So I'm sure it'll be on there, but I want to make sure I've got a good foothold in there, and the community over there is incredible. So I just love all the people over there. one of the most supportive communities I've seen. And just to see what could potentially happen with it in the future is going to be great.
Yeah, it's definitely a great resource. You can definitely learn a lot just keeping up with the daily updates, Sawyer Merritt and everyone.
Oh
And yeah, your Twitter's been exploding. You're like over 1,000 followers now, right?
well, I got 1,135. Thank you,
Not too
everyone, for
bad.
following me over on Twitter. Tesla bot. Hope I can get my account back. I said, what bad word did you say? Elon is awesome, because that'll get you blocked for sure before Elon took over. Yeah, I'm sure you'll get back. So, and I don't know if anybody saw. Actually, let me hop over here really quick, because I'll bring up Twitter because there's a lot of stuff that's going on over there with the news. So I'll do a share screen as soon as I get it up. But so Elon did say that they're doing some meetings, and they will be doing reinstatements after they have some meetings first. I think they just need to go through things before they just do a blanket reinstatement of everyone. They've got to go and take a look at these things. So let me see what Elon had put up. Come on. He did say, let me see. I'll get the share screen going here.
Something about a committee forming, right?
Yeah, there's
yeah.
there's going to be a committee forming. I hate it when it does that. There we go. Let's see. What do we have from Elon? Yeah, so Twitter will be forming a content moderation council with widely diverse viewpoints. No major content decisions or account reinstatements will happen before the council convenes. So I mean, it looks like they're just going to kind of go through and do their due diligence before they reinstate people. But I have no doubt, Tesla, about that. Just because you said a bad word is not going to keep you off. I think the only thing that's going to keep people off of there is going to be like straight up violence or something that's illegal. Because as Elon said, within the laws of the land. So as long as you didn't break a law by the word that you said, I think you'll be okay.
Within the limits of free speech, yeah. And going back to what you said about it becoming WeChat, I could definitely see it. And I'm just imagining this world where you're going to be ride hailing your Tesla off of Twitter too.
Oh yeah. And I know like Farzad and I were talking about that as well the other day. And it was like, you're realistically, I can imagine it now. You're going to get into your car, and what's the thing that's going to pop up on your screen in your car is going to be X. And because the app is going to be probably default downloaded into every single Tesla in the future, I have no doubt that's going to be there, and it's going to be everything at your fingertips. Because why not? If you want to download movies, you don't need Netflix. Just go into X. If you want to go and get yourself some food and find out where the food is and pay for it, just go on to X. If you want to send somebody some money, go on to X. Everything is going to be in the palm of your hand in your car. So it should be very much like what you can do from your phone, but it'll be a phone on wheels.
Yeah. The phone or the car, I should say the car will become like the living room on wheels almost. It's the next iteration of the phone. And, thinking about where Elon got his start with PayPal and everything, he kind of had a grand vision there to probably do something like that, whether it was an all-in-one, type of app. Definitely more than what PayPal became, but obviously he was ousted. I think he was a little early, going back to the early 2000s. But I just imagine that you already know he had all these financial ambitions, with this the onset of fintech 20 years ago. There's definitely going to be some element of that, and maybe even more. And you could kind of combine it all into one app. I think that it's going to look totally different.
Oh yeah. And what I'm looking at too is the fact that, Elon's first vision before Tesla was, having this X.com type platform. So what did Elon do? He's like, well, you know what? I don't have enough money to do what I want now. The world isn't ready for that yet. So let me go and build myself a renewable, sustainable energy company that's going to put out EVs and change the world entirely so I can raise enough money so I can create this. Like, unbelievable. What is going on? What happened to your Twitter stock? So your Twitter stock, and I don't know if it's paid out yet, but everything will be liquidated and you'll be paid out for your stock. And I don't know when that's going to happen. I know people have already seen it go away today, so it should be off. It got delisted after closing today.
And it'll be at 54.20.
Yep, 54.20 is what you're going to get paid out for. So everybody who was asking me if they should buy it, I'm like, you can buy it. There's going to be very minimal upside to it, but So now it's done, it's over with, it's liquidated. So you should see that in your account. If you didn't see it today, you should see it Monday, I would imagine. I truly don't know how long it'll take, but all the shares that you had will be paid out at $54.20 a share.
It looks like it closed today at 53.70. So I could have bought a bunch of shares, made 70 cents a share, I guess.
Yeah, there's still a little bit of upside there, but that's okay. No big deal on that one. So that's what's going to happen. And from, I guess, Ross Gerber is, I don't know if he's a financial advisor for him or whatever it is, but he's on the committee with them. And so they've already worked on the paperwork. So I believe it's already changed to X. So I don't know when that's going to go live on Twitter, but that is already changed to X, and we'll see everything change from here. Let's see.
Not as far as like it'll still be called Twitter.
I don't know. I think
it's going.
I think he's going to change it. So I think he's definitely going to change it. I don't know, but as he said, they're going to have the whole council convene first. So I think before they make any major changes at all, we're going to end up, having it be as it is.
The Council of Elrond.
Yes.
Decide the future fate of Middle Earth and Twitter.
Set the bird free. Really excited about the possibility of Twitter becoming a YouTube competitor. Just feels interesting because I've been using YouTube for watching videos for so long. Same here. My kid and I use it all the time. And again, there hasn't been a competitor, and YouTube's not a bad platform at all. I mean, I enjoy it, but as far as Ed and I were talking, when you don't have competition, you have no reason to grow and get better. And the comment section in YouTube is atrocious. Like I try my best to respond to all of you guys, but based upon the fact that the YouTube Studio app and the YouTube itself on when I'm on the computer are two totally different animals, and it's so not easy to track everything. So I wish it was a lot better for me to follow conversations. And I apologize to everyone. I've been so slammed at work. I'm way behind on comments. So I apologize to everyone.
Yeah, I think as far as YouTube's great, but it's good to have competition. Always healthy to help those companies and continue to innovate, and just I think it's just better that way versus having one monopolistic company. The other thing that I'm really interested to see is what is he going to do, because what I personally don't like, I'd be curious to get everybody's viewpoints in the comments below. YouTube, all the other platforms, Instagram, the Reels, YouTube going to Shorts, they're all just trying to copy TikTok. And personally, I'd rather watch an hour-long interview, long-form, content. So I'm kind of upset to see YouTube clearly starting to push. I see so many more shorts now. And it could just be me. Maybe I'm crazy. I'm really curious to get everyone else's take. Would you rather watch these short 60-second videos, or do you like watching longer videos? I just feel like I get so much more out of, listening to an interview like this, a little podcast between two people having an actual discussion for an hour versus just 60-second little clickbait videos. But
yeah,
so I think it'll be good, and I'm curious to see, since they've all of these, they're all becoming, I guess, entertainment at this point. Social media, YouTube, they're all moving away from the long form videos because that's how they get the advertising revenue. That's what's popular. So I'd be curious to see what happens with Twitter. I hope it doesn't become that. I'm sure Elon has much better plans and more effective ways to make money, but we'll see.
So the way I'm looking at it is, and I know with YouTube, they're going to start monetizing shorts come the beginning of next year. So that'll be big. So that's why that's out there. And shorts are that quick endorphin rush that you get for your brain to watch something that's entertaining. A quick flip. That's why videos have been getting shorter and shorter over the years, because people don't have the attention span. And it's almost like we've been trained that way. And I'm with you. I kind of like a mix of the both. If somebody's going to give me good quality stuff in a minute, I'm good with that. If you can fill it in, I think I'm going to start doing shorts myself. And you guys can let me know too, if throughout the course of the day, if something, emergent popped up and I was like, hey, here's some breaking news, let me throw it in here in a quick short for you guys to share that, I'll do that. And then I'll do the full video at the end of the day, recapping all of it together. I think I'm going to do stuff like that. That's what I'm going to start building on with mine, just so I can get information out to you guys. I'm slammed at work, so I don't have a lot of time to do that. But as I get further on and changing and getting out of my job, I think that'll be beneficial. I think for quick stuff, like thinking about, over on Twitter, you see a quick tweet, breaking news from Sawyer Merritt all the time. If you did it in a quick video format, that wouldn't be bad. But again, like Vin said, I like sitting down and listening to a good full, 20 to 30 minute interview and getting some good information from these people. Let's see. What is the likelihood of a Tesla Elon investor community page? We follow many of you, but many of you have been saying of self-discovery. That's actually not a bad idea. I don't know if they're going to end up having something like that. That would make a lot of sense. I know like Discord has communities like that for sure. I've got mine and there's a whole Tesla community over there. And I'm thinking about how YouTube or Facebook has the Facebook communities. I would imagine Twitter would end up having the same type thing for sure.
Yeah, and I guess you and Farza kind of talked about this having more of like a Reddit thread kind of thing, so it's more
Yeah.
organized. And yeah, that would be cool. You
Yeah.
could get to what you're actually interested in much easier.
Let's see. Not too sure if it's possible, but if Elon can grow Twitter as big as Facebook, I will be impressed. Well, hilariously, Facebook I think is going to shrink to the size of Twitter. So just the way it's been going. Now, Vin, I know you had been. I don't know if you still are a big proponent of Meta. How are you feeling about it these days?
Yeah, it's a stock I own. I wouldn't say I'm a big proponent. It's a stock that I've been so mad at because it's such an enigma because you know some I like earlier in the year I was like, okay, things are looking good, and it just keeps going back and forth because they can't keep a string of positive news going for too long. So yeah, it's another stock I follow along with Tesla. They had a really cool event, I thought, a couple of weeks ago, but then their earnings report this week was obviously not good, and they got crushed. So it's really been getting punished this year. I think the whole thing with Meta here, they were in a do or die situation. Because obviously, like we're saying now, yeah, Twitter could become as big as Facebook. I mean, they would need to get to about 3 billion monthly active users, almost 1 in 2 people in the world. But yeah, if it's a better platform, it'll happen. Facebook, they basically said in their earnings report, this is what struck me the most, Meta, that they're anticipating that the new headsets, the Oculus Quest Pro, is going to start replacing personal laptops. So especially for work purposes, they were saying the market for personal laptops for work is like 200 million a year. But they're thinking that with this technology, it will be like the next forefront. Like it'll be easier, the newest frontier. You'll actually be able to do work more effectively, and you would just buy this $1,500 headset versus a personal computer, just because you'd be able to do more. Obviously interacting in the physical environment. So I think it's cool. I think it's a cool idea, and that could be huge. And I don't want to laugh it off and be like the people 20 years ago who thought the internet would never be anything. So I think there's something there. However, I don't like that this is like their Hail Mary, I feel like, because obviously the core business is probably past its peak. And now you introduce all these new competitors and problem after problem, Apple going after them, the government not being a big fan of them. Yeah, it's kind of like a do or die moment for them. So I think it's kind of a high risk, high reward bet on that at this point. But yeah, the Elon buying Twitter, like I was saying earlier, definitely, just another problem for them, another competitor. And I think that's another big issue in the short term. 10 years ago, Facebook, Instagram basically had the whole market. Now you have so many different platforms. Even WhatsApp is competing with like Telegram, GroupMe, iMessage. There's too many people doing it. And we'll just have to see what happens. The latest being Twitter and Elon now.
Yeah, and and looking at it with an optimistic, open set of eyes, computers have been what they've been for the last 20, 30 years, so we really have not seen a disruption in just basic computers. You've had the laptop, some better iterations, but like even smartphones are starting to become old. So when it comes to computers, if Facebook and Meta can actually make this happen and become that disruptive technology that takes over computers, it could definitely take off and be big. And seeing as, like you said, having all these other social media platforms out there as competition, having them be able to put out something like the Oculus that would separate them from everyone else would give them that edge up. Similar to what people say about Tesla and say competition is coming, but Tesla has so many other areas that they can grow into as well. If Facebook has that other area that they could go into, that would then separate them from it. So they're putting a lot of their eggs in one basket, but like you said, it's do or die. So I think if they make this happen, they could be successful. So maybe this ends up being an awesome buying opportunity for Facebook. The future will let us know.
Yeah, that's the thing that's the one sticking point that I still have, because I'm always like, okay, this for me is worth, taking the ride for. Let's see where it goes. I'd feel a lot better if the core business wasn't crumbling is what it feels like.
Yeah.
And another thing that's interesting too is you look at all the other companies, Tesla, Apple, what they've all been able to do and what Facebook always lacked is this integration of hardware and software, right? They were basically completely a software company, but these other business models are proving superior, at least so far. And you see, I was reading Apple's report today, just to compare Apple and Meta. Apple's business is a lot more solvent. Things are healthy. They're growing. They're generating wads of free cash flow. It's not as volatile. And I've been seeing a lot of people talk about this lately, that that's it right there. That software and hardware. We're kind of at this era where like you need the two to really succeed. And you look at all the big companies that are doing well, they kind of have that. So that's another thing for Meta now, is like the headsets will be their hardware. So again, yeah, it's almost like they're a little late. They missed like this trend of hardware software, or they were a little slow on it. But yeah, we'll see what happens from here.
Yeah, that's true. And you think about, the fact that them, like in a Google, Google does have the Google phone, but when you are an ad-based company and that's where your revenues come from, and you get into a bear market like we're in right now in a recession, then your revenue is going to go down hard, because that's the first place that people end up cutting, money, is ads and payroll. So, that's going to be a big hit. So if they can pull it off, I'm not going to say that they can't, but definitely have a lot of work ahead of them.
Yeah, that whole thing's interesting. And this is where I really wonder, what's going to happen with Twitter, because obviously right now it's a similar business model. And yeah, that having some ad revenue is good. I mean, it's a good business model, but yeah, like you said, when the times get tough, it's not reliable anymore. It's very volatile. Unless you can stomach the volatility. Personally, I'd rather get away from that. And it was fascinating for me reading the Apple's earnings report today, seeing that they actually grew and how well they're doing because they have the diversified products. I think Meta is something like 92% or more of their revenue is coming from advertising. But obviously Apple has physical products. They are also growing their software subscriptions. I believe they're up to like 900 million subscriptions now. So there's another stream of revenue. They have obviously the Macs and all the other products everyone knows. I have them all right here: iPhone, AirPods. I'm doing this on a Mac,
Yeah.
So it's clear which company you want to be in when the times are tough. But that's how I was thinking about it today. I was going to make a video comparing Apple and Facebook Meta. And I'm thinking like Apple is the more stable of the two, slower, more reliant growth. Meta is a wild card at this point. It's high risk, high reward.
Yeah, and just like we look at our own finances, you want to have multiple streams of income. And if you've only got one stream of income and something happens to that stream of income, you're screwed. And so, when you look at the fact that, I've got like 3 or 4 myself, and sure, my main job is a significant chunk of that. But if I lost it, I still have 3 other areas that I can go focus on and bring up my revenue in those areas. When you've got Meta with only one, when that goes down, you got nothing. So Apple has multiple. So, and I think with Twitter, when it comes down to it, I think he's going to end up integrating things like a SoFi, and you can literally do everything. So imagine when you get financials on there as well. So he'll end up having probably 4 or 5, if not more, different streams of revenue coming in for Twitter in the future.
That would be very interesting to see, and definitely could be possible. Like we said, WeChat, all the Chinese super apps. Yeah, you do everything in one place, and it makes sense, because who wants to have 50 apps and have to remember 50 different logins and you put it all in one place, much more convenient. And that would be interesting to see, because even a company like Apple, they've gotten into the finance, and this is how they keep growing, is they keep finding these new verticals. They have you in their ecosystem. They've got Apple Pay. They've got an Apple Card. They're doing their own savings rates now, and credit cards and stuff. So yeah, there's a lot of different ways you can branch out. It helps you diversify, and it keeps the gravy train alive. So I could definitely see that with Twitter.
Yeah, and I know that I think Rob Maurer is working on it, working on coming up with an Elon ETF. So all of the companies that he's in, being able to put money into that fund. And of course, it's tough for most of us because most of his companies are privately owned. Tesla is the only publicly owned company. But I know for me personally, I would love to be involved in SpaceX, Starlink, Twitter X at this point. I would even like to be, I wouldn't mind being in Boring Company and Neuralink. So to be involved in all of his companies as an ETF, that'd be big for me. I would like that. I would definitely invest in that.
That would be cool. I'm just thinking now. Now I'm really just like seeing the future for Twitter. Have you? I don't know if you've watched Joe Justice.
Only a couple. I've only seen like the very early
So
stuff that he's done like
so
last year.
he said stuff like this, and now I'm really seeing it come to reality about how like no industry is safe. Like they're really going to get involved. A Musk company will kind of get involved in all of them. Like you just said, Twitter now can start competing with SoFi. I mean, there's really no limit depending on the direction they want to go, or if they're every direction. There's no one they can't compete with for stuff like that. I mean, payments, banking. I mean, there's the ride sharing. There's so many different ways they can
Oh yeah,
take it.
we're
Just
gonna
look at
be
WeChat.
we're gonna be living in the Eloniverse.
I'm sure Big Brother is not going to be too happy about that.
No, I've already pissed off a few people over on Twitter. Let me see here. Lou, 26 minute, yeah, long depth, yes, I totally agree with that. And again, and just like Brooke said here, the shorts can be addicting, especially if you're watching, like if you're watching it for entertainment, just for a quick thing here and there, like whatever, that's fine. Like I do that, just sometimes I just need to numb my brain for a little bit. But yeah, you can get definitely stuck in them and never get out.
And that's
just like
the other thing I don't like about it is it's like a casino. It's purposefully to get you as addicted and stay on there as long as possible. And it's just like,
yeah,
I don't see how this ends well and it makes society better over the long term.
Oh yeah, and I don't know if you heard this, but when it comes to TikTok, because it is a Chinese-owned company, they alter the algorithms for Western civilization. They put the algorithms out there so that the videos that play for us are these stupid things that just kind of numb our brain and make us dumber. Meanwhile, if you're actually in China, all the videos that play for the kids there are like, other videos of kids being successful and doing great things and being constructive, to grow them on that, because that's what they're feeding them in their media. So, that's not the reason why I stayed up with TikTok. For me, it's just, not a place I want to be. But then thinking about Meta and Facebook, think about the clientele that's on there. Think about the user base. It's boomers and maybe millennials. Like what younger generation is on there? My kid would be like, Facebook, you're so old. So
yeah, it's really interesting you bring that up. That this is another thing I've thought about. You look at this is a Chinese product. That doesn't surprise me at all. Like I feel like they're going to look back on this, and we're kind of at a modern war with them already. They limit video games and all this stuff of their own population, but they're shipping it to us. This is not coincidental. And what amazes me the most is that we won't ban TikTok, but are our companies in China? No. Facebook, Google, none of them are allowed to operate over there, but we let them in. It's almost a Trojan horse.
Yep. That's it. And I think we're going to see, and the thing that people don't see, which is very long term, which Elon does see, is it's not that, hey, 2, 3, 4 years from now, we're going to see this. It's a generational thing. 2 or 3 generations down the road, we are going to see the effects of this. And it's not right now. And people have such short time frames in their minds that it's hard for them to see it.
Yeah, I think you're. I was just reading yesterday. I can already tell you where it's going. All the ADHD medications are. There's not enough supply. It's just all of these conditions are skyrocketing. I really think it's going to cause like an epidemic. Like they talk about, Fermi's paradox, like the great filter. What happened to these societies if there were civilizations on other planets? If you don't get off planet or, find a way, eventually you go extinct. This is something Elon talks about a lot. But I think one of the great filters that we kind of climax society, we can't get any further, could be this. When you're infinitely just scrolling on the dopamine loop there, you're like, you have a casino in your hand at all times. I mean, this stuff is going to cause serious issues. I think it'll become very apparent over the next 5-10 years.
Yeah, I think we are definitely, if we don't do something about it, we would head into the idiocracy place. And
that movie. All these movies predict the future. I'm sure there's a Simpsons episode too.
Oh yeah. Karam, one look at the meta chart and all I think is stinky.
Yeah, it's rough. They're getting back to their IPO price almost. I mean, basically 5 years of no gains now on the chart.
Right. But, and the way I look at it is, again, a lot of times you see good companies when they get beaten down like this is like, I would rather buy when they're at a 52-week low than when they're at a 52-week high. If we know that company has a good, strong future, like a Tesla. But you look at Meta and it's like, now it's in question. It's fallen out of, I think, the top 20
I think it's market 26th or something now. Really,
So you start dropping that low, and you're like, that's a hard slide.
That's another issue I've had with it is that, like I said, it just seems like unnecessary risk. I can't get as excited about it as I can for Tesla. And as you just said, if vice versa, I would feel a lot more passionate to buy Tesla if it was an opportunity I could see like that. But yeah, I just feel like with Meta would almost be like investing in Tesla 5 years ago when there was so much uncertainty. It's almost like the way I see it is like we're past the point where every day was a risk of bankruptcy and everything was up in the air. I kind of just feel like I don't personally want to expose myself to a long-term, high risk, high reward type scenario if I see a better opportunity is at least how I'm playing it. So that makes it tough as well.
Let's see. Karav, happy to say Giga Texas will produce more than 2,000 vehicles this week. That's awesome. And we knew that Elon had said that. Berlin's already there. And shortly, I think they were at the run rate of that when they did the earnings call. So now that they're hitting it, that's awesome. Let me see. Lou, I live near Giga Texas. I've been thinking of driving over there and watching and counting car carriers. Do it, dude. Because I know that's what a lot of people do over for Shanghai. They just watch the vehicles leave and they count them all coming out. Now, I'm actually wondering if they're going to bore a tunnel underneath Austin and start pumping things out that way so people can't watch and see. But I don't know. I'm sure somebody will find it wherever those cars are coming out and try to time it that way.
That could be the long-term way they keep improving margins. Have a tunnel, high speed, get it there faster on Tesla semis. That's like the long term how Tesla's margins maybe keep improving.
Oh yeah.
It was interesting watching your video the other day. Made me think about how Tesla semis, that'll be the obvious next step. I forget if it might have been you or Farzad made the point. How
Farzad,
Tesla can keep increasing their margins, start shipping on Tesla semis once they're at mass scale. I mean, they can only increase the margins that way.
Oh yeah, of course. And that's one of the first things I thought of when they had announced the semi is Tesla's going to use them, and the Simpsons predict everything. And they already predicted that we're going to have self-driving semi trucks out there. So now thinking about having, you don't have to pay for the payroll. You don't have to pay for diesel. You're going to have your own charging. So that's vertically integrated there. So whatever you're charging with is going to be minimal cost. So you're going to be able to basically ship, and logistic costs are going to be so minimal at that point compared to where they are now. Thinking about how many costs Tesla still has that they can cut along the way, their margins are just going to keep going higher and higher and profits go higher and higher.
Yeah. And this is something, and Amazon really needs. Just e-commerce is tough. And obviously we're seeing I was reading their report as well today. Not good, but it's obvious if you're doing so much shipping of goods, well, oil's, the price of oil goes up, everything in inflation is more expensive. You're going to make less money. So you have to find those ways to innovate. But as far as Tesla using the semis, another thing I think is interesting to think about is that what I could also see happening is on the path toward full autonomy, a convoy that's led by, let's say you have 10 trucks, you have one person actually driving at the front, maybe it's semi-autonomous. That could be a precursor, I believe, to the full autonomy. So if you think about that, that's something realistically they probably could start doing now. So all of a sudden now you can convoy these trucks to deliver them, which will be even more efficient. Now you have one driver and 10 trucks. Now you have less drag on all the trucks, and it's going to get there faster. And obviously they're electric, so you're saving on all the fuel. But these are just all the little ways that they could continue going down that route.
Oh yeah, and one of the things that a lot of people, like, I'm in the Northeast, so just thinking about that working, it's hard to fathom just because in the Northeast roads are tight. Like, we don't have a lot of space, but you go to the Midwest and there's just long stretches of nothingness. So having a convoy go out there is not a problem whatsoever. It makes a lot of sense.
And it's interesting too that those semi trucks are what actually produce the majority of the pollution. So you could replace all the passenger cars and not the semis, and you don't even solve the problem.
Oh yeah. Oh, and here's a
huge
great
opportunity
from Dan. There's a big opportunity to improve and democratize education, disrupt universities. You know what? I didn't even think about that.
Maybe Twitter is tits.
Yeah, Twitter can be the start to all of that. Online education can come from there. That's a great point, Dan.
I think college enrollment this year, I think for private universities at least, was down 9 or 10%. It's already starting. I mean, it makes sense. Yeah, you can learn all this stuff online. That would be a great idea. Boom. So now Twitter, it can also disrupt the education industry.
Wow, that's
pretty wild.
Point, Dan.
Pitch that to Elon if he hasn't already thought of it.
Yeah. Let me see.
I can't wait for Master Plan Part 3. That's got to be soon, right?
It's got to be, yeah. I know it's coming out soon. Michael Anthony, PED. What do you guys think of PED being a debt-free oil company with 26 million in cash and 126 oil wells? CEO, I'll never sell a share. I mean, oil is not going to go away entirely. There's still going to be a market for oil always. There's oil is used in so many other things around the world. But when it comes down to actual vehicle use of oil and gas, it's just going to go away. I mean, thinking about the fact that the EU is going to be getting rid of ICE vehicles by 2035. We're doing that here in the US. There's so many other countries that are going to be following suit. I think China's 2030. So we're going to see that happening. So the main use of it is going to be going away. So while I think, an investment in a company like that isn't a bad idea, to me, it's an area that's going to be fizzling out, whereas we've got the EVs and renewable energy, which is clearly growing. So I would rather personally put my money into something like something with renewable energy.
Yeah, there's two companies on my deep in my watch list that I'm just curious to learn more about. BP and Shell. If I was going to go for an oil company, maybe just as like a small little hedge. But what interests me about those, and again, I have to look more into them, but they're kind of doing both at the same time in that they are doing the oil, but they're also transitioning to sustainable kind of at the same time. I know BP's case, they're like investing more money into sustainable energy than the British government is. So yeah, that if I was going to go that route, I got to look more into those. But it'll be interesting to see how quickly the EV adoption happens, because it's obviously going to exponentially grow over the next few years. And to me, I just think it's going to become, despite what, no matter what you believe about the climate change and everything, EVs just make sense to me. They're going to be cheaper. They're going to be better. They're going to be more effective. So for that reason alone, I mean, that's just the competitive market. The best product is going to win out. To me, it just seems that quickly that's going to be the case. That's going to be the biggest selling point. Look at Teslas, are the safest car, throw in factors like that. It just becomes a no-brainer. But it will be interesting. I guess it's really just a matter of production at that point, because the demand. I mean, I can't imagine like still wanting to buy an oil ICE car. And I just feel like over the next few years, many people will realize that, right? I mean, we're getting close already to some of these states, 2035. That's like pretty soon, that are banning the sale of ICE cars.
Yeah, it'll be here before we know it. And, we're hitting that valley of death sooner than a lot of people think. And if you guys don't know, the valley of death is where the ICE vehicles drop off in demand because nobody wants them. Demand in EVs go up, and there's no vehicles to fill that void. So it's basically whoever produces the most EVs are going to win. And that's clearly Tesla at this point in time. So we have this huge gap, and that cliff is going to be pretty sharp for ICE vehicles. And then as soon as we hit price parity, it's game over. It's game over for ICE vehicles. There would be no point in buying a less quality vehicle for more money. Why would you do it? It makes no sense.
Speaking of the ICE companies, I don't know if you've seen GM Energy.
I heard about that. I didn't dive into it really to see what was going on.
I got to give it to them. GM, they say all the right things.
I try to keep an open mind, as much of a Tesla bull as I am. I think you go back 10 years and Tesla said a lot of things that people wanted to hear, that people loved, but that stuff did not come to fruition for 5 or 10 years from when they had said it. Now here, the difference is when it comes to GM, we're already here. It's not like this is, something that needs to get disrupted. We've already disrupted it. Now GM is already 10 years behind the 8 ball on it. And, if they can do it, great for them. I'm not going to stop it, because I'm all about the EV revolution and switching over to sustainable energy. But, you got to show it to me. You got to show me. That's where we're at.
Just another industry that they're going to lead.
Yeah, no kidding. Let me see. Thomas, great time enjoying it. Thank you, Thomas. Elon will turn things around. Not too worried about Facebook is for us old folks, but super addicting. Whole Elon can make Twitter as addicting and want to see him be successful. Yeah, I agree. And I think when Elon comes down to it, it's going to be less of what we would say an addiction. It would be more of a, hey, here's a functional tool in my life that I almost cannot live without, versus an addiction. And think about Facebook. Like, do you really need Facebook in your life? No. I mean, I need it to remind me of when people's birthdays are. That's really it. And
Pretty
other
useful for
than,
that, yeah.
I mean, other than that, there's no real functional use that I see in Facebook. Like I keep in contact with some people, but now like the people I really care about, I can text or call. So when it comes to Twitter, I think it's going to be something more functional that we're going to use in our everyday lives as something as a functional tool. And I think that's what Elon's going to end up creating with it.
Yeah, I think going back a couple years, like that was my big hope with Facebook too, is that I saw them being what we're saying Twitter's gonna be now, this super app, as they introduced things like Marketplace. I thought I mean, that is very popular. I know that a lot of people use that, and I just foresaw that, disrupting eBay and Craigslist, stuff like that. But yeah, it just hasn't really panned out that way. But I think Twitter, there's definitely a better chance of like a super app.
Oh yeah. Idiocracy was a good documentary. It certainly was.
I gotta
So
rewatch that
scary
movie.
how
I haven't
close we
seen it in a
were.
while.
And the fact that there was the rumors of The Rock running for president in 2020, I was like, what? Oh man. Here we go. Oh, let's see, Karaf. My AP psychology teacher is offering us extra credit if we record a video of us flushing a toilet and saying how similar is to a neuron. And that's it though, because that's technology. And to appeal to the younger generations and what they are used to, you think about like my generation. I've been talking to a lot of people, my age about the fact that we're kind of in that bridge area. I spent, basically the first half of my life pre-internet. And it wasn't until I was 18, 19 years old that the internet really started to become something realistically used. I remember when I went to college, we had the first emailing system that we had. And I remember I had a 56.6K modem, like, ooh, like, that's what we had in college. And, before then it was nothing. I didn't even have a computer at my house until I went to college. So it's a different world out there for the younger generations, and to be able to get them to learn in the ways that they're used to, I think is good. I think that's a good thing. It's, Elon had said that himself, is you've got to come up with ways to teach people in a way that they're going to want to do it. Think about why kids want to play a video game. It grabs their attention. It keeps them in there. It keeps them going. We've got to make our education be very similar. And if he can do that with Twitter, like Dan said, that would be awesome.
Yeah, it's funny you bring that up, Kyra. I would have called that experiment the black hole, but that's cool. And going back to we were talking about college before, education in general, I've been thinking about this lately. Like, it was kind of boring when I was in school. I cannot imagine kids nowadays who are growing up on TikTok. What are they learning? Like, there's no way that they can sit there and listen to this boring teacher talk for 4 hours every day, and that there's not a better way. I mean, that's an industry that probably will be ripe for disruption just from the top down. I think you'll see it with colleges, just because you could learn everything on YouTube. You could learn how to literally do like anything on YouTube. It's actually crazy. But and then you brought up, why video games are so addicting. And I think that's a key too. You have to kind of gamify life. Like, you have to view it as yourself leveling up. Like, this is stuff I've been working on lately. It's like when I'm like working out, this is how you level up in real life. Go up 5 pounds, go a little harder, read a little more today. You got to just challenge yourself, gamify life hack for all of you.
Yep. That's exactly what I've done too. I agree, Vin. And for me, that's why I always set goals. And people are like, well, why do you set goals? And I go, I set goals because that's what keeps moving me forward. I'm like, because if I can do, 10 push-ups today, let's try to do 11 tomorrow. All right, cool. When can I do more? And you keep pushing yourself to do more and more. And how much more can you do? And then, once you hit a certain level, like for me, when I was doing my races after 10 years, I'm like, I didn't feel like I was getting anything out of it anymore. So I switched things and I started doing something different. I was like, let me level up somewhere else. Anybody who plays Dungeons and Dragons, I'm a big nerd like that. And, I play Dungeons and Dragons, and you can multi-class. And it's like, all right, well, let me start learning a different class. All right, cool. I'm going to start doing this. I'm going to learn something else. And, there's nothing wrong with going and doing that. And you just keep on doing that to drive yourself. I mean, that's basically what Elon does.
Yeah, that was, I was going to say that. Yes, exactly. That's definitely what Elon's doing. He's setting huge goals that, massive goals that you need something to strive for. You have to have that overarching goal, like getting to Mars. It sounds insane and unattainable, but that's the whole point, is whether we get there or not, we're going to get a lot further. Elon's going to get there, get a lot further than someone who has no goals, or, just, oh yeah, maybe we'll make a rocket. It's a crazy difference. It's funny you mentioned Dungeons and Dragons. I was a RuneScape guy. I have that in common with Meet Kevin. I always appreciate his little gold coin thing in the
Oh yeah.
corner and all that stuff.
Yep. All
But
my
yeah.
guys at work just started playing RuneScape. They wanted to get me into it too.
Oh, that was, see, you want to talk about, that was addicting back in the day. I remember that. That was fun stuff though. That's what I think RuneScape taught me, passive income, not even gonna lie. Had a little kingdom, they were all doing work for me. It basically
Oh
taught
yeah.
me the stock market, more about passive income than I learned in school for sure. The other thing I would pair with goals too, that I've been trying to do more of too, is just journaling. And yeah, it's all kind of the same bucket. Have like gratitude, just writing down things I'm grateful for every day. These are all the little things. Like you just put a bunch of these little things together, have those goals every day, have the longer term goals, and this is how you really get ahead. I mean,
Oh
all of
yeah.
these books I've read, like they all kind of say the same thing: think and grow rich. Yeah, interesting
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, one of the big things for me too, like you said, is tracking all of my stuff along the way. Because when I'm tracking and I'm like, all right, well, I'm getting closer to my goals, and I do, with my YouTube subscribers and different things that I do with the channel here as well. I was like, all right, well, what's my growth doing? What am I doing right? What am I doing wrong? What can I do better? That's how you can improve, is by seeing what are your habits along the way. And one of the things I tried to teach people, especially as a personal trainer, is don't focus on the goal. Have the goal there, but you need to learn and focus on what the habits are, and that's what the tracking is for. Because when you're tracking all of your habits along the way, you can see what habits are getting you closer to that goal and what habits are keeping you away from that goal. So if you track it, then you're like, all right, well, this is what I do. So this is why, those of you guys who are members and patrons, you can see every week I share with you guys, all of my expense reports and everything that I do on a weekly basis. I track all of that. I see where I'm at. I'm like, all right, well, am I getting closer to my goals of, higher net worth, of saving up for better stock? Is my portfolio growing? If I can see all of that based upon my expenses, and I was like, all right, well, I spent too much here. I didn't spend enough there. I could have invested more here. Those are the little things that I focus on. And then I just check on a weekly, monthly, yearly basis. Where did I be with those goals?
It's about the journey, not the destination.
Exactly. And you've got to enjoy the journey. That's a big piece of it.
Yeah.
Because, if you're only doing it to get to the goal, again, as a personal trainer, like you always ask the person what the goal is. Like, why do you want to lose weight? All right, I want to lose 30 pounds. Cool. Well, when do you want to lose it by? I need to lose it in a month. Well, we're like, well, cut off a leg then. That's fine. But it's like, when people tell me this, and I was like, well, why do you want to lose it in this time frame? And they're like, well, I have a wedding to go to, or I have a vacation to go on. I go, that's great. And there's nothing wrong with that. And that's a good place to drive yourself to. But you're only going to do it until you get to that point. And then as soon as that point ends and you get to that vacation or wedding, you stop. And I'm like, because you haven't learned the habits you need to, and you haven't enjoyed that journey, you're only doing it for the end goal. And as soon as you hit that end goal, it's done. You've got to realize that the end goal for you in reality is death. That is your end goal, is do what you can. And then from there, what I've started looking at for myself is beyond that. I now look at my son when it comes to my wealth. And I say, all right, well, when it comes to my wealth, I'm going to pass that to future generations. So for me, even death for me is not the end game. It is going to continue past that. So I think this is something that Elon also sees himself, is his end game is well beyond his lifespan here on Earth. It's going to be well beyond that and taking humanity further in the future.
That yeah, definitely true. Took a dark turn there with the death, but it's true. And another thing I think is key too, that people lose sight of is, yeah, you have these goals. You have a wedding at the end of the month, and what happens all too often, or New Year's resolutions, after a month you're back to it, because why? You didn't change your habits. It's all about, you got to just cement the right habits if you really want to maintain it. That just also reminded me, I saw you guys were at the Yankee game. You guys couldn't get us some good luck here. The Astros now are our only hope. Saw this the other day. Every year that the Phillies have won the World Series, a great financial crisis followed. 1929, I think 1980, 2008. So everybody better hope Astros win.
Wow. Oh my God. Wow. That's incredible. And that's a baseball stat right there. Like, baseball stats are one of my favorites. Like, this is the only left-handed pitcher on a Tuesday night to throw 4 strikeouts and, like in one inning. I don't know. It's crazy. I know, in 4 strikeouts. I'm a baseball player. 4 strikeouts in 1 inning doesn't happen. So Tom, yes, paying $70,000 a year for my son's college would be great if there was another option to the system. I agree. My son is going to be going to college in 2 years. Yeah, I am tired of this. And one of the things that frustrates me, and I went to college and I did pay off my loans last year, so I did not get to take advantage of the student loan forgiveness. A lot of my family and friends did, but it's like, why are we doing this? Like, have we fixed the problem at the root? No, like, first off, if this is a problem, let's make the banks and the colleges stop charging like they're charging. And let's stop kids from having to take on loans like they're taking. You've got to stop that to begin with. If you're not going to stop that, this loan forgiveness means absolutely nothing.
Yeah, it's
So
about accountability. You got to keep these colleges and the ones giving out the loans accountable, because this, like you just said, I feel like does nothing to solve the root problem, which is private universities, especially private colleges, are just going to keep increasing tuition. Oh, they're forgiving 10,000. What's stopping them from increasing the tuition another 10,000? It just, that's the root of the problem. And I also feel like it was very different when colleges could actually say, "Oh, you're spending this money, but it's an investment. You're going to get a good ROI." Back in the day, maybe you paid 50 grand, 100 grand, but coming out of college, you're making 50, 60 grand. Now you're coming out of college 300K in the whole 200K, and you're making 40 grand if you're, if you're lucky at some
oh
entry
yeah.
level position. And that's where it also has become problematic too. There's no accountability. You got to like go back to the beginning and fix it at the root.
Right, and that's a big problem too. And I don't even know the stats, but I'd like to see what the stats are. Percentage of college graduates getting a job in their field when they graduate. Because 30, 40 years ago, it was significantly higher. That was the thing. When I went to college, it was you can't get a good job unless you have a college degree. That was just the mentality of everybody around. And that changed very quickly thereafter. And, I don't even use my degree. Now, granted, I was not a college guy to begin with, so it wasn't really my thing. But like there was a lot of people I know who did not end up using their degree, and
We're both history majors, right?
yeah, exactly, yeah. And I mean,
Look at
honestly,
that.
being a history major helped me and everything else that I've learned, because learning about history helps me not repeat history, which a lot of people don't understand and grasp because we keep on doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. But that helped me in that aspect. But as far as actually using the degree, no, I don't even know where my degree is at this point. It's not doing anything for me.
It definitely, I think it helps to do the research and look deeply into these things. But yeah, like reading these reports, I think it helps for.
Oh yeah. Let's see. Ian, yeah, FAANG ain't what it used to be. Yeah, that was my morning's video today. Was FAANG stocks are not going to be right now. Tesla is the new FAANG stock. That's it. Like Tesla's got it all.
Maybe Tesla and Apple. That's about it.
Yeah, and I think Google will be fine going forward. That's kind of everybody's
Yeah,
default search
Google's
engine. But
solid.
who knows? Maybe Twitter is going to become the new search engine too.
Yeah,
If it's going to become all encompassing.
the problem with, I mean, Google obviously it's a huge umbrella, but YouTube was one of their promising star childs, and it keeps growing immensely. And obviously that's already slowed down with the onset of TikTok. Again, they're all becoming the same to me. It's TikTok, YouTube, Reels. So their growth there has been limited. So the playing field is forever changed. And then, yeah, when you throw Twitter into that, at least Google is, I think, they're similar to Facebook in that it's very reliant on that ad revenue, but at least they're more diversified, which helps. And yeah, I think that Google's more solid. I'm trying to think of the new acronym of like maybe TANG: Tesla, Apple, NVIDIA, Google.
Yeah, that's true, because Netflix is going to be gone. I think it's going to be replaced by Nvidia for sure.
Yeah, Netflix is an interesting one too that I've like gone back and forth on, just like researching it, because I think that they're good, but the problem they face is now they're not the only one, and they're up against behemoths who, being a pure play streaming business model like Netflix is, I think is going to be very difficult, because how do you compete with Apple, with Amazon, when at the end of the day, whoever makes the most or the best content is probably going to win majority market share, or you're just going to split it between 6 or 8. But I just feel like at a certain point, whoever has the most money to throw at it will do the best. Obviously, that could be wrong. That's just kind of my thesis. But Netflix is taking the right steps. I could maybe see one day further down the line a Microsoft acquisition of Netflix. But and I forgot Microsoft. We got to throw that in the Tang
Well,
M too.
somebody had asked about that, and I'd always wondered my Microsoft isn't in FAANG. I think it's a silent M. I don't know, but I think
I
it's
know they have
because
FAMGA.
well, and I think part of it is because of the fact that the FAANG stocks, when they became the FAANG stocks, still had a lot of growth ahead of them. Microsoft was already at the top of their S curve, so they were like, they're good, solid company, but the growth in them isn't there anymore. But now all the
That's
FAANG
exactly
stocks,
right.
are getting to the top of their S curves. So there's not a lot
The
of growth
cycle
left in them.
reverses. Yeah,
Yeah,
because
so
when those were like the hot, growth stocks. Microsoft was at a slower phase, and then I think Satya Nadella really, turned that company. I mean, they were a great company, but he really made it what it is today. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, FAMGA, Microsoft is a solid one too, but we probably are at the point of FAANG's. I mean, at least in the case we talked Facebook, Netflix. Yeah, it's a tough situation. I do feel like Microsoft being their ad partner now, this is their foot in the door. Going back to what I was saying, if I could see a potential future acquisition, they're building the relationship, and I could definitely see something come of that. Because that's all it is at this point, is between Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, Google. It's just who can like bundle the most stuff. It's like this.
Oh yeah.
They were talking about this on the All In podcast a few weeks ago. Bundling is great and the worst thing at the same time, because it's kind of anti-capitalist, because now you just take any company like a Palantir, for example. Microsoft can just over time do the same service, or a service that's not even as good. Let's go with that. A service that's not as good, but because it's part of a bundle, which one is the company going to go with? Oh, we get all of this other stuff. And it becomes anti-competitive at a certain point, because these standalone companies like Netflix, that's a pure play streamer, will not be able to survive, is my like long-term view on that. But it'll be interesting to see. It's like the battle of the bundles now.
Yeah, well, I mean, Apple basically set the standard for, the ecosystem. If you've got a solid ecosystem that people want to get into, you're going to generate a lot more revenue from those people because they're buying everything in your ecosystem. So when you were talking about it, it came to my mind, Microsoft buying Netflix and turning Netflix into a YouTube type platform as well as a competitor, that would be brilliant. That would be a brilliant move on Microsoft's part. It'd be great for Netflix because, like you said, being a pure play is going to be very difficult for them. Microsoft does not currently have something like that, whereas Google does. So that might not be a bad strategy for them.
Yeah, and it'll also, another thing that'll be interesting too is again, going back to like streaming is a tough business model, right? Because you're basically, Netflix takes all of the money they make and pump it right back into trying to make as much content, or as good content as they can. Is it really like sustainable? And especially when you also throw in the creator economy, which I think we're kind of already seeing this. If you feel like a Mr. Beast has his own burgers, selling all their own products, and at a certain point, if they don't pivot to at least a mixture, like you said, maybe Netflix has more creator elements, like a YouTube revenue share type model, in addition to what they're doing. At a certain point, it will become very difficult for them to compete, because if you're a creator, you're making content, people are coming to you, you have this free advertising channel to them, whereas everyone else is paying for, the big companies are paying to advertise, and over time, it's just going to become less and less effective. People are becoming more drawn into these ecosystems of the people who they like. They like to come on. They like to watch your stream here on a Friday night. Everyone who's watching likes to smash the like button. And, more and more, I think that this is the trend that's going to pick up. And that really changes everything. I mean, long term, why do you go to McDonald's if the Mr. Beast burger is the same or better, and you like Mr. Beast more than you like McDonald's, And I think long term that is going to be pretty nuts. But maybe Netflix can kind of incorporate that in some way. Maybe it'll save them.
I say, if Microsoft is going to go out, they're going to buy Warner Brothers, they're going to buy Netflix, and they're going to put it all together and turn it into some massive platform. Let's see, King 901. Which IPO comes first, Starlink or Twitter? Ooh, that's a good one.
That's a good question.
Gosh, I don't. They might actually IPO at the same time. I think it's all going to depend on what Elon plans on doing with Twitter. So we'll probably find out, and after we get that meeting, as to what the game plan is. I have a feeling he's going to look to turn it fast and change the whole platform very quickly. So I think probably 2025, 2026 will be when we see both of them come around for an IPO.
Maybe they'll IPO under X, the parent company.
Yeah, maybe they come out together. Maybe he'll join them. Let me see.
Starlink service makes it so you can go on Twitter wherever you are. It all just starts to work off each other.
Well, knowing that we're going to have that Starlink set up in Tesla vehicles in the future, think about the fact that we're going to have Tesla, Starlink, and Twitter. And Elon says that the companies don't overlap, but they clearly do.
I mean, I was reading how Tesla engineers went to Twitter today or yesterday, whenever it was. And they're, sir, we got it taken care of. The professionals are here.
Yeah. And I mean, we saw the people with boxes, and now not to make fun of this, when the people get let go, that's not cool. Like, losing your job is not fun at all. So I do feel for everybody who has lost their job over Twitter. Luckily, this is a very lucrative market that we are in right now. So hopefully with all the jobs that are open out there, these people will be able to find jobs soon. But it's just one of the things you need to do. If you've got a company that has not been growing for the last 10 years, you've got to make some big changes to start the company growing. And that's just unfortunately what Elon has to do to make this happen. So I do feel for everybody who's lost their job over there, but hopefully they can find something soon.
And we already knew, obviously, Tesla and SpaceX work off each other. Engineers
Yeah.
are going back and forth. The materials, we've got some rocket materials in the cars. We got some car manufacturing in the rockets. It all works beautifully.
Oh yeah, and the engineers bounce back and forth, and we know that they're going to be bouncing over to Twitter now, obviously. So let's see, going back to BP here. BP are heavily investing in their polar network in the UK. Problem is that it really is slow adoption. Newly built BP petrol station only installed one EV charger. I mean, why not more?
I'm sure the EV chargers are coming. It's just, again, it's like when the car came out, the original Ford, the Model T, 100 years ago, 120 years, whatever it was. Everyone was saying it'll never work. There's no roads. You have to have the product first, and then they'll build. The chargers are coming. Obviously, once there's a need for it. I mean, I'm seeing a lot of them in the US at especially on like highways at like the huge gas stations. They've got like 10, 20 chargers.
Oh, yeah.
As soon as, I'm starting to see them pop up. I think we're going to start seeing it as soon as there's a need for it, a real, huge, clear demand.
Yeah, I know.
In the next couple of years.
I know from me at my job, we supply a lot of construction that is out there, and we've been supplying construction for gas stations. And one of my theses is the fact that in the future, we're going to see less and less gas stations coming up. And as they pop up in the future, you're going to see more EV charging stations at them. So the thing to pay attention to that we really can't see on the surface is what is the infrastructure that they're building within those gas stations? Sure, they only have one EV charger there, but did they build the infrastructure to maybe have 10 chargers built on site? They just put one on site for now. So that's one thing that we really can't see on the surface. So if they've built the infrastructure to be able to house 10 chargers there, we'll see that over time. So maybe they're like, all right, well, we can remove one of the pumps and put more EV charging stations in. Maybe we expand our parking lot, put some more space in. So we'll probably end up seeing that in the future, but I can definitely see by mid-decade we're going to see mixed gas stations probably still popping up, maybe not as much, but a lot more charging stations. Let me see. Karav. I'll be honest, I am reading my psych textbook right now and I'm watching the stream. I can't resist. Well, thank you for doing that, but make sure you study. But it is the weekend, so it's all right. I don't mind. I'm not your parent. Do what you want. Let me see. Let's see here. Chuck Bowling, there's lots of green in the back and forth chop every day. Thoughts on long-term versus short-term in Tesla investing? For me, I kind of do short-term swing trading in my IRA. Not a lot, just because I'm so busy, but I do follow the charts, as you guys know. So I do kind of track that to see if I want to swing in there. You could do short term. I think for the next year, because we're going to be in a bear market, we're going to be up and down. We're going to have a lot of good opportunities with good market movements. If you want to swing trade, again, do your own due diligence and research. It is risky. Everything is risky. Investing, not investing, short term, long term. So you got to do what you're comfortable with and be okay with whatever you invest at possibly losing all of it. But I think for the next year, because bear markets generally can be a time where you can make some good short-term money because you may get some good short-term swings in there. You just got to be careful. But I think for me, the reason I do it with Tesla is because even if I miss a swing in the wrong direction and I buy higher or I buy a level and it goes down more, I can just hold it longer because I have conviction that it's going to go much higher in the future.
Yeah, when it comes to Tesla, I'm definitely focused on the long term. I think, like Tim said, if you want to day trade, if that's your thing, it's not really mine. And I'm just much more concerned about, even if I could potentially make a little bit of money in the short term on it, it would not be worth missing out on the long term future that I see with it. Just because I've seen how volatile this stock is. I've seen just how insane everything can be. We're talking $100 price swings in a day. So I don't mess around with it. I'm long-term when it comes to Tesla for sure.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And in my main portfolio, it's buy only. I'm not going to be selling anytime soon. Let's see. I'm 10 minutes behind, but I've been pitching education to Elon off and on for 2 years. I think he should integrate crypto into it where in like NFT gaming, you mine coin while you use an education platform. It's actually brilliant. Exactly. Something like that. Yeah, exactly. If you can gamify education, it's brilliant. I think
that's what you need to do. Yeah.
Thinking about some of the video games I've played, I'm a big Final Fantasy guy. Playing those games actually taught me a lot of things. You can play The Sims. Playing The Sims can actually teach you stuff. I used to play Sim City, teaching me how to, work with money and, work with a budget. Little things like that. If you can gamify it that way, I think you're onto something for sure.
Yeah, like I definitely learned a ton playing RuneScape. It's 100%. If you gamify it, it sticks. You actually remember, you retain the information better too, versus just like reading a textbook, taking an exam, and forgetting everything.
Let me see. Tongue squeezer, talk Bitcoin, please. Yeah, if I want to get bots up here, I will. But honestly, and honestly, just to tap into it a little bit. So I do invest in cryptocurrency. I think it's going to be in the future for sure, even though it's taken quite a beating over the last year. I do think it's going to do well. And with Elon being such a big backer of Dogecoin, I put in $1 every single day. I don't have a lot of money to invest, and I try to keep my portfolio around that 5 to 7% mark when it comes to cryptocurrency. But when it comes to Dogecoin, I've been putting $1 in every single day. And I think because of the fact that when it comes to Twitter, or X.com, as we're going to be calling it, it's going to be using Dogecoin as a currency, and they're going to be using it as tipping. And there's going to be a way that you can pay for things with that. And so going back to, the education piece when it comes to cryptocurrency, I think it's brilliant. I think we can definitely get into things like that in the future. I think that's going to be part of what we see in the future.
Yeah, I think with crypto, it's a long-term play. I'm not a big fan right now, just with I just see it as a little bit too speculative an asset to be buying with all this uncertainty. I'd rather put my money into Tesla right now. That's also coming off of the whole Voyager fiasco. But yeah, I have a little Dogecoin in another wallet. I'll probably get back into it eventually. I definitely see the future. I just think it's tough with crypto is, which one is it going to be?
Yeah. Well, and so same thing. So for me, what I have is I do have a Bitcoin position. So I've got my Blockfi card, and I get 1.5% on all of my purchases back in Bitcoin. Then in Blockfi, because I have all of my Bitcoin there, all of the money that I have in Bitcoin there, I get interest on at the end of the month. So I'm getting, I think at this point, 6.5% interest. All that interest is paid out in Ethereum. So I have that. Then I've got my Dogecoin, and I've got ADA. So I've got those four. I do have some Shiba just because, hey, it likes to ride with Dogecoin, so why not? So, those are just the 5 that I have. But I think those 5, Shiba mostly just because it's going to be riding curtails. I think for me, those are the 5 that there's going to be other ones as well. It's what's the functionality of them? Are they really going to be functional in the future? There's so many out there. It's ridiculous. Let me see. I live in Knoxville, Tennessee, and they are building 100 pump Buckies near Pigeon Forge. I keep thinking this is another episode of Idiocracy. The whole world is going electric. It's so true. And what I look at is you're going to end up having places like that. And again, we know out, in the West and areas like that, Midwest, Tennessee, it's not to say that they're not converting as quickly as other places. Like a California obviously is way ahead of the curve. The Northeast is starting to get there. Connecticut's usually right behind. Texas is moving over. So we're going to end up seeing it. But right now, there's so many people who still don't see the electric future yet. So, and again, we're still going to have cars being produced until at least 2035 in most areas. So there's still going to be a market for it, just like when it comes to legacy auto and the fact that their dealerships make most of their money from parts and service. They're still going to be around. There's still going to be ICE vehicles. They're still going to have a place in the market for now. But you go 20, 30 years down the road, and it's not going to be like that. But, for a Buc-ee's is going to put up a 100 pump station, they're going to put that up there. They're going to definitely make their money back. They're going to make profits on that before it ends up going to the wayside. So, and I have no doubt that over time, maybe in the next 10 years, those 100 pumps become 50 pumps and 100 charging stations. Let me see. Thomas. Said the song when I was a kid. We watched Schoolhouse Rock. Yes. And I still remember every lesson. Yeah. That, and so songs, that's one of the tricks I learned when I was taking the SATs. So Karav, when you're doing this, I don't know if you know this trick. When you're taking tests, if you listen to music, and usually classical music, sort of like a Beethoven, a Mozart, something like that, if you listen to that while you are studying for your test, and then you listen to that right before you take your test, it rejogs your memory and helps you retain information better. So that's a little trick that I learned when I was growing up. Let me see. Karav, and speaking of, the FUD has officially spread to elementary schools. My sister just told me CNN 10, a kid's news show, showed a video of Tesla FSD struggling while showing a video in crude. Oh my God.
That's actually crazy.
Yeah. Oh my God. And you're right. The amount of FUD that is out there right now. And again, this is why we call it fudge, because when there is FUD, you've got to really dig into it and say, hey, is this FUD really something to be concerned about? Or is it just somebody trying to beat it up and keep it down? In most cases, it is just somebody out there who does not like this because it's going to disrupt their livelihood, and they're going to go and crush it because they need to change. And that's it. So, when I look at the FSD stuff like that, and obviously Tesla hasn't solved it yet. They're, as far as I'm concerned, they're farther ahead than anyone else. But we'll see what the future brings. And as soon as they do have it solved and go out there, we're still going to see people beating them up for it. Now, let's see what else we got. Actually, you know what? I'm going to bring up the charts here because I noticed something in the chart today, something we have been talking about. And yes, I know some people think the charts are boring, and yes, I don't follow them all the time. But this is one of the 4 things that I do follow. So looking at here on the charts, so this is the downward trend that I had shown us on. So we're now in this consolidation, which I was hoping for. And today we just started to poke out of this downward trend. So Monday is going to be the big day. If we end up breaking out of this, I think we can say that we have broken out of our downward trend. Again, that short-term movement stuff, Vin and I are mostly long-term investors, so most of the short-term stuff does not mean a lot. But when you're looking at things like this, that's a very good sign that, we could potentially be breaking out of this and coming back up. And as I was going to show you guys before, the reverse head and shoulders pattern, here's one shoulder, here's the head. So if we do come back up, hit this 313 mark, come back down and form the other shoulder, that's usually an indication that we are going to see a massive breakout coming. So if that can end up happening, timing wise, looking at it, let me see if we come up here and kind of space it out evenly. We're looking at, early to mid December, possibly seeing this pattern forming. So maybe at that point we see a nice little breakout. We shall see what happens. But that's just what I'm seeing in the charts right now. So we'll get off of that because you guys, some of you guys are bored. I feel like
a big part of Tesla too is just beholden, like a lot of other stocks, to the macro at this point. And once this crap storm is over, we could get back to going to the moon. I think a lot of it is just, as long as the rates are going up, it's very hard for the market to go up, or until the market has fully priced it in, at least.
Yeah, and realistically, you think
it may already have.
Yeah, and you think about when it comes to that, and the market looks 6 months ahead. So 6 months before we actually see all of this lift, the stocks will start moving up again. But, you think about, if you had, some giant football player just stepping their foot on your chest and you trying to get up, it's going to be really hard. But as soon as he takes that foot off of you, you can get up without a problem. That's literally where we're at right now. We just have, the macro environment just has the foot on our chest and holding us down. Let's see. Karav, yes. Yes. LiDAR geofence crews are so superior. That's so true. And so I did see the other day, there is a company out there that is using true robo-taxis at airports. And I think that's going to be probably the first place that Tesla ends up getting into as well, is going to be places like that. Maybe it's going to be sporting event arenas, parking lots, places that have giant parking lots like that, like the airports. I think that's the first place we're going to end up seeing it, is in an area like that. So think about the fact that Elon had been pushing recently to really get Smart Summon really up there. I think that's where this is going to come into play when it comes to robo-taxis. Is Smart Summon is going to be the first thing that's truly utilized when it comes to robo-taxis. And they're going to use them in parking lots, and then they'll take it from there.
Do you think Tesla FSD could operate today in a geofenced area? And if so, why haven't they done it yet?
I think they could do it in a geofenced area without a problem. I think the reason they haven't done it yet is because why? Why would they spend their time and effort on something that is not going to be the future? That's Elon's mentality. That there's no reason
for the whole pop.
Exactly. Like, why would I? And I think about this at my job all the time, and it drives me nuts. The people who put a Band-Aid on a problem instead of just solving the problem from the root. Why would they go and put a Band-Aid on this problem of putting it in a geofenced area when they could just solve the problem from the root and not ever need to do that? Same thing with LiDAR. LiDAR's a
Yeah.
crutch. Why would you put it in there when you don't need it? It's unnecessary.
Yeah, that is interesting. Hearing that they're already hitting the 10-year-olds or whatever with the propaganda. I mean, that is just crazy. If they wanted to fight the FUD, I would think that should be pretty easy. But yeah, I think they're just going for the whole pie and they're not concerned with it's just a distraction.
Yeah, seriously. And that's the whole thing. And like Elon said, when it comes to their FSD, you can literally take any vehicle that they make. And if we had a second Earth somewhere near us, which was laid out, with roads that were different than what we had now, you could put a Tesla on one of them and it would still be able to navigate it. That's what they're looking for.
And we're going to wide release of FSD beta, they said later this year. I mean, it's trending in the right direction.
Yeah. Let's see, Thomas. All we need is one smaller rate increase than expected. For instance, a 50 basis point rather than a 75 basis point that the market will fly. That's true. I was actually talking to Abhishek. He's up in Canada. He always gives me the rates that are going up in Canada, and the US usually follows suit. And Canada was supposed to do a 75. They ended up doing a 50 basis point hike. So if we do the same thing, and don't forget, next week on Wednesday, we are getting our rate hikes. So if the Fed comes out and decides to do 50 basis points, I think you are right. We could see a nice jump in the market next week. Let's see. I'm pretty sure Hallmarks did the same route in San Fran, and cruise took 40 minutes while FSD took 25 minutes. Yeah.
It is definitely it's exceptional in California. I have heard people in other areas, it's not as good, but again, I think it's improving. That's the measure to pay attention to.
Right. So the difference between the two when it comes down to like a mentality type standpoint is a geo-fenced full self-driving vehicle, autonomous vehicle, is going to be very specific to those roads. FSD is a more general, broad-based knowledge, which is these are the types of roads that we're driving on, and we know how to navigate those types of roads. So the types of roads in California are more easily navigated by FSD right now because there's more cars over there that are giving them data from that. So they have learned how to navigate those roads. When it comes to here in the Northeast, it's a little bit different. We haven't, had as many over here yet, so it's going to be a little more challenging. Then we're going to get FSD wide release over in Europe. That's a totally different aspect over there. The roads are significantly different. So it's going to be a different learning curve, but once they learn those general types of roads, it'll be easier for them to navigate. That's kind of what they're looking at. Whereas geofence is very specific, like this is how we drive this very specific road. That's a lot of data that needs to get input just to make that happen. Let's see. Karav, you're playing the Yaman game over here. Tesla FSD users will triple in 2022, but the latest 2023. Yeah. It's actually going to be way more than that. Tesla FSD users are going to be significantly more than tripled by the end of this year, just because they're going to go wide release.
It says the tripling in 2022, and that in all of Gary Black's catalysts. Whatever happened.
Yes. Lil Slam, do you think Tesla will sell FSD to other automakers cutting into NVIDIA? Yes, they will. I have no doubt that they will. And I think we're going to run into a GM type situation where people are strictly not going to buy Tesla, even if it is the better product, just because it's Tesla. It's ridiculous that people do that, but that will end up happening. But I have no doubt there's going to be other automotive makers out there who are going to go ahead and take Teslas because they can't. They can't do it themselves, and it makes no sense to go with somebody else. So, and again, just when it comes to competition, it's not a bad thing. It's going to keep companies getting better and better over time. So even if NVIDIA does come out with a good full self-driving program and product, I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to be good to keep on pushing Tesla as well. Fun fact, Tesla made about 5,441 cars today. One day's production. So actually, so what's the math on that, Karav? Just because well, actually, it's tough to go by the math on that because not all of the factories produce every single day. But that's awesome. That 5,000 cars in a day is awesome. If other automakers can swallow their pride, they all laughed at Tesla. Now they eat the crow. Yeah, that's it. And these companies who just don't accept it are going to, end up they're going to fall to the wayside. That's just the reality of it. The people who, don't do it. And it's not like Tesla's trying to bash anybody or keep anybody down. They're challenging other people. That's it. Tesla wants competition. Elon wants other companies to do well. He wants them to succeed because that's what's going to end with changing the world even faster. is other companies succeeding. He knows they can't do it on their own. So the fact that other companies are out there and just smashing Tesla because they don't want Tesla to be the leader of this, it boggles my mind. All right. Oh, we've been on for over an hour now. Holy Moses. All right. We will get off of here now. I will let you guys go. Go, you guys enjoy your weekend. I hope you have a great one. Thank you guys all so much for being here. Thank you, Vin. If you guys have not followed Vin on his channel, definitely go subscribe to his channel. Vin, give yourself a little shout out here. You can follow him on Twitter and everything else.
Yeah, Investment Club on YouTube and Twitter @withvinny1.
Yes.
Thanks for having me, Tim.
No problem, Vin. Guys, definitely follow him, and we will see you guys all later.